Good evening, Whovians.
Welcome, or good morning.
Well, good morning, depending where you are.
Yeah, depends. Or what time you're listening.
Indeed. Welcome to Doctor Who Time and Space.
Welcome to Doctor Who Time and Space.
We are of the human race. I am called Daddy Cool.
And I am called Lewis Moon.
So, Mr. Moon, what do we have in store this week?
Well, of course, our main feature is the third episode of Opinion.
Oh, which we'll be talking about Listen from last week.
Yes, which was an amazing episode. What else have we got?
We'll have the usual array of news.
Yes.
Both from the Doctor Who-niverse and also from the Mr. Lewis Moon web pages. Iverse.
Yes. And also we'll be looking at some what was it? A look at Time Heist.
The Time Heist, so that which is will be coming out today. We'll also be thinking a little bit about sorry, just showing a private joke there. We'll also be talking about oh, we're very professional, aren't we?
Yes.
We'll also be talking about the latest hashtag craze, which Mr. Lewis Moon has been flashing about on Twitter today.
Yes.
We'll also possibly even have time for a quiz or question, which, as some of you may know, is the segment of the show where we get quizzes or questions raised by listeners, and we attempt to answer them. So that's everything that we've got in store this show. So we perhaps kick off with opinion.
Yes. So today we're going to be talking about Listen, which was last week's amazing episode of Doctor Who, one of the creepiest and best of New Who.
Yeah. So this is Stephen Moffat effort.
Yes, it was very good Stephen Moffat work.
Yeah, so first of all then, what did you make of it? What did you think of it?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was quite scary at some points.
You can say you were clearly looking away at times.
Yes, I was.
So, which is probably the effect they wanted.
I was worried that it was going to be a Miss Evangelista type villain.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Or a twin dilemma type episode, so
that
was the dilemma.
But you enjoyed it, yeah?
Yes, I really enjoyed it. I thought it had a great storyline.
Yeah.
The pace of it worked.
Yeah, indeed.
Even though it was quite slow, it worked.
Yeah.
And it was a bit different, I think. It was one of the best in this series, I think.
Yeah, I would actually personally say it's my favourite one of the series so far. I know you don't quite agree.
No, it's second for me. Deep Breath still first, but it's almost first. Listen, it's a very close draw thing.
Yeah, I think that the interesting one when you think of Listen is obviously, as I say, it was written by Stephen Moffat, who's given us a number of fairly original and creepy episodes. I mean, probably the nearest comparator in many respects would be Blink, which is still a classic, possibly the best Who episode ever. Not everyone would agree, but it's there or thereabouts, certainly, isn't it?
Near the top.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let's think a little bit about Listen then.
Okay.
Splits into mainly two parts of the story, really, isn't there? There's but both of which there's one character which is very pivotal to that, which is
Danny Pink.
Or
Rupert Pink, as we found out in this episode, was his real name, which he never did. He changed it to Dan, named after Dan, the soldier man.
So we get to see the Pink one, both as an adult, as a child.
Yeah.
And then we see a relative of his, or an assumed relative, later on later on in the programme.
Yeah.
So as a starting point, what did you make of the whole disaster date between Clara and Danny?
Clara was really good then.
Yeah.
Possibly our best episode yet, Jenna Coleman.
I think so. She was brilliant, wasn't she?
Yeah. And yeah, I like how Danny Pink was banging his head on the table again.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be a regular thing he does?
I think sooner or later. I mean, at the moment, there's definitely an element of nerves between the two of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
They both obviously.
Awkwardness.
Yeah, they both fancy each other.
Yeah.
And as a result of it, they both have a habit of saying things and regretting them. I think Danny's very clumsy.
Yeah, and very awkward.
Yeah, and he's quite touchy as well, isn't there? There's obviously things that happened in his past that he's either ashamed of or scared of, but they certainly, at the slightest mention of them, he snaps, doesn't he?
Yeah, he cries or bangs his head on tables or something.
Whereas Clara, I think, is just quite mouthy, isn't she? She says what she thinks. She doesn't necessarily think before she speaks, and there's a few times she's put her foot in it. But brilliant. What I really liked about it was I liked the fact that the first time round the date is an absolute disaster, and you assume when she then goes back for the second date, she goes back and sees him again, you assume it's all going to work out right.
You assume that it's going to be like just be calm, and then Clara finishes and goes away in the TARDIS. I thought that was going to happen, but
in actual fact, it ends up being more disastrous than the first time.
Yeah, I know.
So that was the first, or part one of the story, one of the main themes of the story. The other one was around the whole fear element, and I mean the basic idea of the story was playing on your deepest fears, which is that the things you can't hear. The things you can't see, the things that you hear, or the things that you feel, but can never actually view.
Yeah, so I had something once. It wasn't anyone, but it was a few years ago, and I was in bed, and I was turning round, and I felt something tap me, and I looked round, and there was nobody there. Have you ever had something like that?
Yeah, I have. Where was this, by the way? Was this at your home?
Yeah, this was at my house.
Yeah. So it's these sorts of things, wasn't it? That was the sort of thing that it was playing on, that sort of fear, because most people probably have an experience like that.
Yeah, because it was really creepy.
Yeah.
I was awake from after then for ages.
I mean, we said last week, didn't we? I gave my prediction that I thought it was going to be around guardian angels, and perhaps that your guardian angel isn't always good. And it obviously wasn't. Like we said, would probably be the case. But yeah, that whole idea of a villain that you couldn't see, and you didn't even know if it was a villain. I mean, there was the whole bit once. I've forgotten his name now. The older
Orson.
Yeah. When they went up into time to the apparent end of the universe or whatever. You never really found out whether there was anything out there or not.
No, because the door unlocked, and we never found out much about this thing. All we saw of it was a few eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And what about the Doctor? What do you think of the Doctor in this episode?
What, Peter Capaldi?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was good.
It's such a Peter Capaldi episode, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Creepy, dark.
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi type. It's just like the kind of, out of all of the episodes so far in the series, this fits Peter Capaldi the best, I think.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. He was really, really good in it. I thought it was quite interesting. It's sort of changing the subject very slightly, but once we finish this podcast, being in the UK, and we usually finish around 5 o'clock, we usually then have our tea, and whilst we're having our tea, we tend to listen to Radio Scaro.
Radio Free Scaro, which is a great podcast. We recommend it. So Radio Free Scaro, just type it in.
Yeah. So we always enjoy listening to it. And they were talking about Peter Capaldi in The Robot of Sherwood.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting. They had quite a different view than what we had last week, which was we very much said that whilst it was a great episode, it didn't necessarily seem like a Peter Capaldi episode.
No.
It seemed like it would fit Matt Smith or David Tennant more. And I think their view was that actually it worked brilliantly with Peter Capaldi because he brought a darker edge to it, whereas perhaps the whole thing would have been too twee if it had been one of the other Doctors, which is a fair point, I think.
So yeah, Ray Jeffrey Scarra is good because it has special guests. The other week they had Into the Dalek writer Phil Ford, and I think they had Annette Wills, who was one of the first Doctor's companions, who plays Polly.
Yeah.
And also the last guest was last week. They had the director of some of this series, Jamie Matheson.
Yeah, brilliant. Yes, which is good. Maybe we'll get somebody like that to talk to one day.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
A couple of interesting things I thought from Listen.
Yeah.
Firstly, and for anyone, if there's anyone that hasn't watched Listen yet, I would class this as a spoiler for that particular episode.
Yeah, because if you're watching Listen and on the website it will say note if you have not watched this episode, then there'll be massive spoilers on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask your opinion here, because it is opinion.
Yes.
What about the whole meeting the young Doctor?
The baby Doctor. Some people are saying, and on websites and stuff, and on other stuff, they're saying that it can't be possible to go to Gallifrey because of the time lock. And that's true, because there's a time lock and it's locked from any time. So how did Clara get to meet the little Doctor? Because it was on Gallifrey.
But was it because she tapped into the Doctor's timeline?
Might have been.
Because you've got to remember that the Doctor and Clara are entwined, aren't they, really? Because of the whole thing where Clara's saved him over all these years. All the numbers of hundreds of Claras that have been messing around. So I'm sure there's a way of getting around it. I thought it was a really nice little touch, that. I mean, it completely... What it means is that you're in this situation where not only was Clara there saving him all over the decades, but also it was probably Clara and what she said to him that made him the person that he is.
Yeah.
So actually, she's always influenced his life, even down to the fact that this whole thing about fear and was actually sparked off in many ways by her, because it was her that was under the bed that grabbed his legs. It gave him that fear that he's always had.
Yeah.
But he's used fear for the right purposes.
Yeah.
So,
that was a very good touch. Yeah. I agree with you that it was a very good idea to add the kind of younger sort of Doctor in it. What
do you think the other...
Oh, wait, no, first of all, you never got to see him.
Yes, that was good as well, wasn't
it? Yeah. Okay, what was it?
The other thing I wondered is the bit that you were looking away at was when you got when Clara was underneath the bed, and all of a sudden you saw the springs come down and there was a figure underneath the covers.
Yeah.
What do you think that was? Was it a monster of some form? Was it something like the Silence type creature that is hidden from view? Or was it, do you think, like some people are saying, just one of the kids playing a prank on Pink because he was a bit of a loser?
Might have been one of the kids.
The fact that he runs up the door makes me think it probably was.
Yeah. But also, it could be somebody we know about. It could be Missy or an agent she's sort of sent.
Yeah.
That she's got in heaven.
Yeah. Because there wasn't any Missy in it, was it? We were expecting some Missy, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we didn't get any. So. What about another sort of thing we've always asked every week when we do this review or this opinion is opening sequence.
Yeah. Opening sequence is really good. One of the best scenes in that.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it's so far in all of the episodes, they've been quite big and grand, haven't they? The opening scenes. Whereas this one was just the Doctor talking, and which set the pace, I think, for the episode in many respects.
Yeah, I think the opening sequence was good. I think it was almost as good as the deep breath opening sequence, but you can never beat the deep breath opening sequence.
Yeah.
That was really good.
We were talking about this earlier on, weren't we? Because I was saying that I like Listen better than Deep Breath, even though I really enjoyed that one too. And you decided that the reason you probably like Deep Breath best still is because you watched it in the cinema.
And because it was really exciting. So.
But perhaps the big grand theatre experience, the cinema experience, makes it stand out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think lots of people that went to see it in the cinema probably think that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you said Listen wouldn't really work in the cinema.
Not in the same way, I don't think. No.
No.
But it would work because I mean, horror films work, don't they? But it would. I don't know. I think it felt like a program.
Yeah.
Probably more than the other ones. What else have we got to learn from Listen? I mean, obviously we didn't get anything around the Missy character, but did we learn anything else? Because even the Robert Sherwood, we got the image of the Promised Land, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I can't think of anything that really linked in yet.
There's Danny Pink. Something to do with Danny. I think Danny Pink's something to do with the story arc. I think he's going to be kind of a mini story arc, like his story, and I think the Missy story arc and the Danny Pink story arc are going to link in.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the series, Danny and Missy are going to meet.
Yeah.
And then I want to see Danny and Missy together.
Do you
That'd be
think? Cool. And one of the theories about Missy was that she's Clara. And I said this to you before, didn't I? I said I wonder if it's Clara or one of the Claras that had splintered off and become evil, possibly.
Yeah.
What do you think to that theory?
I think it could be Clara, as we'll talk a bit about the new news we've got, which is related to Doctor Who magazine in a minute.
Yeah.
About Kill the Moon, because we've got a synopsis, but we'll tell you the synopsis later.
Okay, that sounds good.
So do you think Danny Pink was do you think Danny Pink is going to be a time traveller, and how often do you think he'll be a time traveller? Because Orson said he wants to travel with the Doctor because it runs in the family. He said his grandparent or his great-grandparent was going to was time travelling. What do you think?
I think it depends who the great-grandparent is. Is the great-grandparent Danny, or is the great-grandparent Clara?
Yeah.
Now, it might be that Danny does start travelling around with them in the same way as possibly as Rory did, as the adventures came on, didn't they?
Yeah.
I don't believe he will to the same extent.
No.
And there's a big difference between Amy and Rory than there is with Clara, because I think Clara is, correct me if I'm wrong, but possibly the first assistant that doesn't actually live on the TARDIS.
No.
She always, after every adventure, she gets delivered back home, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
So it's not like Rory and Amy were effectively living in the TARDIS by the end, weren't they?
Yeah.
Although they obviously had their own house as well.
Yeah.
Where was I going with this? I can't remember. I had a great logical explanation I was going to say.
Also, do you think Danny was really a soldier, or do you think because of Dan the Soldier Man he was just pretending, or do you think he was really?
No, I think he was a soldier, and I think he probably, because he's still a young man.
Yeah.
So why isn't he still a soldier?
Do you think he did it because he wanted to help people that had that nightmare, and he got it from Dan the Soldier Man. He wanted to because of Dan the Soldier Man.
I think sort of.
Yeah.
I think that what happened was that whilst he was really scared, I think Clara spoke to him and gave him sort of removed some of his fears. But the fact that the soldiers had been placed there made him thought, well, the soldiers protected me, I'll protect other people. But I think something obviously happened very early on whilst he was a soldier that made him not want to be one anymore. He must have been involved in something quite traumatic, quite upsetting, I think.
Do you think we'll find out throughout the series?
Yeah, I do.
What do you think it is then?
I think it probably involved somebody dying or something like that.
Maybe his brother died or something.
Could be, yeah.
Simon Pink.
Well, I don't know, because I don't think, I mean, the fact that he was in a children's home would seem to suggest that he doesn't know who his family is.
Yeah.
So, because we know that Rupert Pink was in a children's home, don't we?
Yeah. Who Rupert Pink is Danny Pink, really.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think he saw something. It could even be something. I tell you, how about this then? How about the trickster? We've never seen the trickster in the Doctor Who properly.
No.
Although we might touch on something a bit later on when we're talking about time heist.
Yeah.
Maybe something like the trickster. Maybe Danny has gambled something on something else.
Yeah.
Maybe he saved his own life or something like that ahead of others.
Yeah.
With a bargain with the trickster. Which was fitting very much with the sorts of things that happened in the Sarah Jane Adventures with the trickster, wouldn't it?
If you've watched the Sarah Jane Adventures, because I'm a big fan of Doctor Who and also I'm a big fan of Sarah Jane Adventures. I've watched every episode and I'm a fan of Wizards vs Aliens as well.
Yeah, it's like all from the same sort of school, aren't they, really?
Yeah, all from like the same writer and stuff.
Sort of a bit of an aside, whilst we're talking about things that we liked, I really liked the reference to when the Doctor sat there in Rupert's room and he said something along the lines of, "Where is he? I can't find him. What are you looking for?" Wally. I thought that was really funny. The fact that it's not a Wally book. It's not all books are Where's Wally. It probably may have baffled the American audience a little bit because they don't know it as Wally over there. It's Waldo, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I thought that was a really funny line. The fact that he was expecting to always be searching for something.
Yeah.
And I think that's something which is very much a main part of Peter Capaldi's Doctor, is he's searching for something.
Yeah. What was your favourite scene?
Favourite scene? I've got two favourite scenes.
Yeah, I have too.
I wonder if they're the same ones.
Yeah. What were they?
The dating scene.
Okay.
In the restaurant.
No, they're not then.
The other one was the scene with the figure on the bed.
Yeah, the figure on the bed was one of mine. I also like the opening sequence.
Yeah.
I think the opening sequence was one of the best so far.
It was. But another great moment, just before we got to see the young Doctor, was when we realised, no, I think it was just afterwards, wasn't it? Where we got to see the picture of John Hurt's Doctor walking through the deserts of presumably Gallifrey.
Yeah.
And we are assuming here, when people talked about the time lock or whatever, we're assuming this is on Gallifrey.
Yeah.
But it may not be.
Yeah.
There's nothing that said they're on Gallifrey, is there?
Because they could be on Earth.
They could be on any planet, I guess.
Yeah.
It could be a moon of Gallifrey or something. You know?
They could be on Castabra. They could be on Carabraxus, the planet with in Time Heist. The bank in Time Heist.
Yeah.
The Bank of Carabraxus.
It could be anywhere. So, anything else to say about Listen?
Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. I'm sort of trying. I think we probably talked most of the way through the episode, isn't it? We've probably missed. We'll be listening to Radio Free Skyway later on, and they'll be talking about these things, and we'll be like, we forgot about that moment. That was a great moment. Was that happened last week, wasn't there? We were listening to something. We thought, we forgot to talk about that bit. No, I don't think so. What about your rating then? What would you rate it?
I give it 9 out of 10. What would you give it?
I'd give it 9 out of 10 as well.
Yeah, 9.4.
Yeah.
I think IMDb gave it 9.2.
Yeah.
But
I think it was one of the best New Who episodes.
I said that at the beginning, yeah. And maybe the spookiest.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, is it as good as Blink? I don't know.
No. In my opinion, it is. There's a poll on Doctor TV, which we'll go to in a minute, which is Blink or Listen.
Yeah.
So we'll decide that in a minute. But I think, what would you go for?
It's a tough one. Blink has got so much going for it. As much as anything else, what I love about Blink is the fact that although it's a Doctor Who episode, the Doctor's hardly in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really clever take on it.
Yeah.
Is it which is better? It's quite a hard one because I would be surprised if they beat that episode, this series.
Yeah.
And if they do, it's going to have to be a very good episode.
I think they probably will beat that episode, this series, because this series has been... Well, before the series started, I thought, these look like rubbish plots. They look like silly stories and it's going to be the worst series so far. And it's turned out to be some of the best plots, some of the best stories, and probably the best series so far of Doctor Who.
What's your thoughts on Peter Capaldi so far?
Yeah, he's really good.
It's an interesting one because I think with you being a younger member of the audience, there was a fear, I think, from a number of people, was that would the young kids be able to associate with Peter Capaldi?
Yeah, I think they have.
I guess. Yeah. What about your friends at school? Do they all really like it?
I've got a few friends at school which are Doctor Who friends. They like Doctor Who as well, and they say they like him. One of them says that Peter Capaldi is, I think he said, his favourite Doctor so far.
I think already he's set himself up to be one of the best.
Yeah. He's really good.
He's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think he manages to, it's a very fine line between the darkness and the funny side, and I think Peter Capaldi has played that role fantastic.
He's third or fourth in mine so far.
Yeah.
Where would he go in yours so far?
It's going to be a struggle for him to beat Tom Baker, because Tom Baker's my Doctor.
Yeah.
I think I already like him as much, at least, as my second favourite, which is probably Matt Smith.
Okay, so where would you come then?
He's him and Matt Smith are punching each other in the face for second spot at the moment.
Okay, so they don't know who's second.
No, we'll find out as the series goes on, maybe.
Because he's either third or fourth. I think he might beat David Tennant, in my opinion.
He definitely does for me.
Okay, he might come third, actually. I think he might come third for me. I really like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the time he started, he was the perfect Doctor. Quite funny, but dark funny.
Indeed.
He was dark and he was mysterious, and I like a mysterious Doctor. It
works really, really well, doesn't it?
Should we go on to the news and is that?
Yeah, I was just going to start looking up the news actually whilst we were talking. So we both gave that sort of 9-ish. Yeah. Because we always round it up. Okay.
So the first bit of news is the Kill the Moon BBC synopsis, which is our main bit of news for today.
Okay. So what's he got to say about this episode? Which just before we come on to it. So tonight we've got Time Heist. Then the week after we've got The Caretaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the one after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So. On the space shuttle making a suicide mission to the moon. Crash landing on the lunar surface, they find a mining base full of corpses. Vicious spider-like creatures poised to attack. Terrible dilemma. When Clara turns to the Doctor for help, she finds the shock of her life.
Now, all we know about this episode, other than that synopsis, and there might be more in the Doctor Who magazine, the monthly magazine, we don't know. But the main thing is something's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something's going to happen in this episode that changes everything.
I find that very interesting.
I think something's going to change the relationship between Clara and the Doctor here.
Yeah.
And I don't know what.
I don't know, because in the picture of the Mummy and the Orient Express, we've got the Doctor Who TV magazine. Clara isn't in any of them, I don't think. I think Clara's going to, leave for a few episodes and then come back in the Forest of the Night or something.
Would you like my theory? How
Yes.
many stories are there after that one?
There's Mummy on the Orient Express,
Yeah.
Flatline, In the Forest of the Night, and then there's the 2-part finale.
See, I was just wondering, in that episode, will she sacrifice herself and end up in the Promised Land?
Or heaven, or whatever.
Or heaven, or whatever. Will she come face to face with the Missy character and then have a less connected role in the other episodes where the Doctor's the main person in it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, something's going to happen. We know already from Deep Breath the Doctor's not scared to leave her in danger.
No.
And I don't think that's because he doesn't care about her, because I think he does care about her a lot. I think, though, that he knows that she can look after herself. She's very clever. In fact, you could argue that in this series, she's more clever than the Doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. She could be, yeah.
He's often been relying on her.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the cleverest Doctor we've seen.
No. Who do you think is the I think John Pertwee might be the cleverest.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Or William Hartnell.
Yeah. See, yeah, it reminds me. Again, I don't want to compare the Doctors too much because he is his own Doctor, but it's always natural to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And it reminds me a lot of he's got a lot of Tom Baker type mannerisms, but also the Patrick Troughton one. The Patrick Troughton's Doctor, whilst he was very, very clever, didn't always come across really clever.
No. He didn't. He came up as a nervous, kind of scared sort of Doctor.
What was it the first Doctor called them in the Third Doctors?
Pardon?
What was it the first Doctor called them in the Three Doctors when he first met them, when he comes up on the screen?
Dandy and the Clown.
Yeah, Dandy and the Clown, yeah. So the clown.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you think Kill the Moon is? Do you think these spider-like creatures will be the main bad guys?
Yeah.
Do you think I think they'll be a bit like the giant spiders of Metabelius 3 might return.
I think this is going to be a quite creepy episode.
Yeah. Another listen, maybe.
Yeah.
No, I think Mummy on the Orient Express might be another listen. This might be another Waters of Mars. Because of course Waters of Mars is quite a creepy one as well.
It is, yeah.
But
yeah. Any other news?
Yes, we've got 2014 Christmas special guest stars confirmed.
Ooh, and who have we got?
Well, we've got Nick Frost,
Ooh.
Nathan McMullen, and Michael Troughton are the main new cast.
So, Michael Troughton, any relation?
He is the son of Patrick Troughton, I think.
Yeah. He's been in it before, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know. He might have been.
Has he not? I thought Patrick Troughton's son had been in it before. Has he
I
got
don't
more, or has he
think so.
got more than one?
I
Did
don't
he do?
think.
He did something. Did he do like the radio?
Yeah, I
the
think he
audio
did
books
one
or
of the
something like that?
audio books.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So, who are you most looking forward to out of them?
Well, Gotta love Frost, haven't you?
Yeah.
The Simon Pegg and Nick Frost combination is just a classic combination. Although obviously we haven't got Simon Pegg in here as well, or at least we don't know it yet.
Yeah, because the editor of Time might return, as we call him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other news?
Yes, we've got Time Heist, 12 hints and teasers.
Ooh.
Opening line. Oh, sorry, I can't see it from here. The Satanic Nebula. 2.
Satanic, probably.
Yeah, Satanic, sorry. You're fired. Takes on a whole new meaning.
Mm.
Those aren't tears, Clara. That's soup. Keep an eye on those two behind. Every thief and villain is one big cocktail. This is how many atomic shredders there are. Some random word, which I don't know how to say. It shares something in common with the Doctor. She's calling. A scarf and a bow tie.
That's interesting.
And then some long numbers.
A scarf and a bow tie, is that going to be some sort of link back to presumably the Matt Smith Doctor and the Tom Baker Doctor?
Yeah, and she's calling. Do you think that'll have something to do with Missy?
Maybe.
I think it might do.
Maybe it will.
Let's see. So, yeah.
Is there any other news, or should we talk about Time Heist whilst we're here?
I think there might be some more news. The Caretaker. Now, people are a bit worried that children won't be able to watch this episode, and it's because Strictly Come Dancing is on. Doctor Who's going to take a later slot for 8:30.
Is that going to be for the rest of the series then, presumably?
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a shame, but it means we won't be able to watch any more together.
Aww.
Oh. We enjoyed that last week, wasn't it? It was the first one we'd actually sat and watched together.
And it was really fun.
It was fun, yeah.
It was darker in your house as well.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll be able to anyway.
Yeah.
We can probably arrange with your mum and have a late one.
I think you're off for the final, so we could watch the final together.
We could do, yeah. That'd be good, yeah.
In November.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh. Be very dark by then.
Yeah, at 8:30.
Yeah, it'd be very dark. It'd be very dark at 6 o'clock probably, actually.
So, do you think this will affect some of the viewing figures, this later time slot?
Yeah, I think they'll go down.
Yes, as this week it went down to what happened? It just went off my website.
Okay, let me find it. You said, don't know what's happened there. You I think it's just found the event. There we go.
Okay. What was I saying?
Yeah, you said that the viewing figures have gone down.
Yes, they did go down to 5.8 million.
I think that's natural, though. I mean, I think if you look at the last series, every episode went down, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think it always does.
What was I gonna? Yeah, it says here, why the ratings in overnight figures doesn't matter. It says, Doctor Who makes shed load of cash. Ratings in the BBC. Television has changed, and it's mentioning the iPlayer here.
I think that's a really big one, actually, because I mean it's very rare. As I said, that was the first episode of Doctor Who that I've watched live since the Christmas one, and before that I hadn't watched any of the last series live, so I always watch it on the iPlayer. Yeah. And there's lots of people go out on a Saturday night. Yeah.
It's still incredibly popular.
Yeah.
As there was the world tour, and it was everywhere when the series started.
I think in many ways it's probably more popular now than it's ever been, because it's not only popular in this country. Maybe it's reduced. It's certainly not as popular in this country as it was when it first came back.
Yeah.
Viewing figures would suggest that.
Yeah.
But it's got a far wider international audience now, I would suggest.
Yeah. And next up, what's our next feature?
Should we talk about Time Heist? Or should we, before we do that, should we talk about what's been going on your website?
Well, last week we had the second part of the Cyber War.
First part.
Oh yeah, the first part, and we've filmed the second part now.
Yeah, just got to do the editing and the speaking on it, haven't we? Yeah. Okay, that's right.
I need it again.
Also, I think it's been quite a quiet night. I think quite a quiet week. I think on the on your web page this week.
Yeah, well, we had a new article this week.
I don't really. He's off somewhere in the distance. He said there's a new article this week. I'm not actually sure what the new article is, so we'll have to wait till he returns back. But the main thing I think this week was the Cyber War Part 1.
The article was. The mysteries and listen.
The mysteries and listen.
Okay.
So I'll wait till he comes back and he can explain exactly what that's all about.
And we talked about some of the mysteries that happened in the episode and were they true and stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
So should we go on to Time Heist now?
Let's talk about Time Heist, yeah.
Yeah. So what sort of episode do you think it will be?
Action. I
Yes.
think what they've done is they took Listen, which was definitely not an action episode, it was a thinky episode, and they put it smack between two very action-packed episodes. Two very different action-packed episodes, one being the jokey romp that was Robot of Sherwood, the other one being probably something which more akin to an action film, I would suggest.
Yeah. The Teller looks really cool. He looks like one of the best villains Doctor has ever made.
I think that scene when it shows him walking really quietly down, trudging, with this, has he got chains on him or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I really love that bit. And the other great thing is, I'm a big spaghetti western buff, and that scene that we saw from one of the previews reminded me of the spaghetti western, because there was no talking or anything. It was just using sound and image.
And our new hashtag is #CoolestMonstersDay. And what are some of your coolest monsters ever in?
It's actually #CoolestMonster.
Day, yeah.
Hashtag Coolest Monster.
Some people have chatted about some of their coolest monsters, so we want you to tell us some of your coolest monsters.
Use the hashtag.
Yeah, #CoolestMonstersDay. Monster Day. What do you think then?
You actually chose my favourite monster.
Okay.
You went for the Zygon, didn't you, first of all?
Yes.
So as I couldn't do that, I partly through jest went for Shockeye.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his race is called now. I looked it up.
Andrew Gums.
That's it, yeah. From that of the two doctors, because I thought he was an entertaining monster.
Yeah, he is.
Which other ones have you selected so far? Because you tried to do one per doctor, haven't you? So far.
Yeah, I have. So I selected the first ever Cybermen.
Yeah.
I didn't do any Patrick Troughton. I did Boss for the third Doctor. I've done Zygons. I've done Mara. There's Androgams from you. There's Hemovores from somebody else.
Yeah.
Need to do 8th Doctor. Need to do 9th Doctor. Need to do 10th Doctor. Need to do 11th Doctor. Need to do 12th Doctor.
Okay. Well, maybe that will become clearer tonight with the Teller.
Yes.
Maybe the Teller will be one of them.
He'll be probably the coolest monster for the 12th Doctor so far.
There was also a great moment in the trailer for the geeks, wasn't there? Of which we'll class ourselves in that category.
Yes.
But there's a moment where on the screen you get some very quick flash-ups of a number of classic Doctor Who villains.
And new, of course.
And new.
The first one was there was Sensorites.
Yeah.
There was Pteroptils.
Yeah.
Slitheen.
Yeah.
The Trickster. A Veil.
Mm-hmm.
And there was Absalom Dark and somebody else.
Yeah, there's one which is from an audiobook, isn't there? I think. Is that right? Or from a cartoon.
Absalom Dark was from a comic.
So that in itself, that's quite cool as well, I think. And that's something that they've done really well in this series so far. They've hinted back at Doctor Who's past really cleverly.
It was quite a famous comic, I think, because it kept mentioning it in the Doctor Who magazine.
Ah, right, okay. Oh, you haven't got that anyway, have you?
What one?
You haven't actually got that one, have you?
No. There was a few, I think. So.
Anything else to say about Time Heist? What do you reckon it's going to be like?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an action-packed one.
It looks like it's got like a slightly extended cast, doesn't it? Because you've obviously got the Doctor and Clara, and then you've got two other characters that seem to be...
Vera and Sai, I think. Sai, whatever.
One of which is a shapeshifter.
One of which is like a robotic
android or something. Yeah. A cyborg or something.
Yeah, cyborg.
Yeah.
Looks a bit like Carla Jack and Carla Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. From Town Called Mercy.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
That's probably it really for Time Heist, I think.
Yes. Quiz or question?
So we're coming to the moment that everybody loves, everybody's favourite moment of the show.
Well, not everybody's. But
no.
Some people's. Here is quiz or question. Quiz or question.
So we're going to actually talk exactly the same time for the rest of the show.
Yes, we are.
You explain what quiz or question means.
Well, quiz or question is a show where we look at some of the questions you sent in and some of the quizzes you sent in. The difference is...
Well, a quiz has a right or wrong answer.
Yes.
A question is looking for one of our opinions.
And it doesn't necessarily have a right or wrong answer.
It doesn't. No, that's right.
It can just be any random thing about Doctor Who.
Okay. The first one we've got is how many missing episodes are there?
Is that a quiz or a question?
That is unusually a quiz. We tend to get more questions than quizzes.
Quiz.
Do you know?
I think it's 97.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's 97.
Is it as many as that? Is it really?
Yeah.
Crumbs.
Episodes, not stories.
Yeah. How many Doctors have got missing episodes? Is it just the first two?
Yeah.
So that's actually a big chunk of their works, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember looking at the Patrick Troughton ones once, and it did actually seem that more of his were missing than were there. Are most of them Patrick Troughton episodes?
I think most of them are Patrick Troughton episodes.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Actually, I've just looked it up on Wikipedia, and you are right.
Yes.
You are right. It is that number.
Wikipedia's right. Is wrong on some things, but Wikipedia's right on programs usually.
Yeah, I mean it's usually. I think something like Doctor Who would normally be right.
Yeah,
it's
always right. I look at it.
Yeah.
And it's right. It's always right. I know about it, and it's right.
Yeah.
I look at it a lot, and it's right.
Yeah. The next one is says, do you ever think there will be a main companion again, like Jamie, that is the main assistant to the Doctor?
Okay, a quiz or a question?
Sorry, there's a main male assistant to the Doctor. Sorry, I missed out the important word.
Quiz or a question?
That's a question, I would say.
Question. Okay. So, do you think there'll ever be a companion like Jamie that's in it quite a lot?
I personally think the Doctor likes female company, most of all. Whether he's a grumpy old one like Peter Capaldi's Doctor, or a flirtatious one like the Matt Smith Doctor. I think they will always go for generally the main companion being a woman from now on.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think the main companion will be woman. I think they'll do it regular, like at the moment, when they'll have like a semi-companion being a boy, and then a main companion being a girl.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably it, isn't it? I mean, if you look at it in recent years, you've had obviously Rory
and Amy,
and Amy, and Rory very much was the secondary character, wasn't he? In fact, he was very weak, wasn't he, in comparison to Amy.
At the beginning, he was really weak.
Yeah.
And his character improved, and he was in it more every single series and every single episode and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one we've got here. Are you ready for the next one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When do you think the makers of Doctor Who first thought about regeneration?
Is that a quiz or a question?
I would say that's a quiz.
Quiz. There's also a bit of a question. I've got one for in a minute, but I think, yeah, it was. Well, I think they started thinking about it in about 1965.
It's quite interesting because when the first Doctor regenerated, he didn't actually say that he was regenerating. He said that he was going to undergo a renewal. He was renewing his body, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas Patrick Troughton had a change of appearance. So he didn't actually refer to it as regeneration
until John Pertwee's final story, Planet of the Spiders, wasn't it?
It might well be, yeah.
So I've got another question here.
Yeah.
It says, what are your top 10 best New Who episodes?
My top 10?
Yes.
Well, that's put me on the spot a bit.
Yeah, I know. Should be, yeah.
I might rethink some of them as we go along. So I'm just going to bounce off the top of my head the ones I really love.
Yeah.
Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Name of the Doctor.
Me too.
Listen.
Yeah, Listen would be part of it.
Blink.
Yeah. Deep Breath would be in mine.
Yeah. Deep Breath, yeah. Midnight would be in mine.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Family of Blood.
Family of Blood, yeah. And the other one, does that count as two, or are we going to count that?
Should we count that as one? Or?
Count that as one, yeah, because it's one story. How many? There's 3 more left, isn't there? Possibly Asylum of the Daleks.
Yeah, maybe. Then you could go for Snowman, maybe.
Snowman, yeah, that would be a good call.
That was the best Christmas.
Yeah.
Or Angels Take Manhattan.
And that probably leaves one more, which I'd probably go for The Empty Child.
Yeah.
I'll probably miss some out from that.
Angels Take Manhattan could be one.
Yeah.
Because that's a good one. Bells St. John.
Yeah.
It's quite hard because it's also
hard.
The 11th Hour.
Yeah.
Lots more stories as well.
Yeah.
Lots more.
It's just occurred to me that what we forgot to do earlier on was look at that poll.
What poll? Oh yeah. We forgot to look at the results for last week's poll. How'd you get there?
You carry on talking about something, and I'll find it.
I don't know what to talk about.
Well, would you like the next quiz or question to think about
whilst
we're actually doing it?
Yeah.
Okay. Which villain would you most like to have seen Paul McGann's Doctor come up against?
Okay. So, is that a quiz or a question?
That's a question.
Question. I think I'd like to have seen Paul McGann's Doctor fight The Sidemen. I think he'd be quite good with Sidemen.
You think so?
Yeah. I think he'd kind of fit Sidemen.
Yeah.
I like Sidemen, and I like.
Do you think he would also be quite a dark Doctor?
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't in the TV movie, was he?
Who?
The Paul McGann Doctor. He wasn't particularly dark in that one.
No.
But you got the impression from the minisode of him being quite dark. Maybe something happened really, but I guess probably linked in with the sort of whole Time War thing that made him become more sullen.
Yeah.
And somebody made the point. I can't think it was on. It might be on that Emergency Awesome web page or YouTube account. I watched one on there the other night when you weren't around, when he was talking about the most scary episodes. So I thought I'd watch it whilst you weren't there, just in case it had that Mrs. Whatever her name is.
Did it?
No, it didn't. No.
Oh, I saw that on YouTube. I didn't. Listen or Blink, by the way.
Listen or Blink.
Yeah.
Which one's best?
Yeah.
Oh, I find that such a difficult one. I'm probably still going to have to go for Blink.
Okay. Should I write that?
If you agree.
I think Listen, but do you want to
vote? You go for your vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll vote for
It's really, really close.
Yeah.
It's really close.
It is. Oh, I've gone out of it now.
Yeah. I forgot what I was saying beforehand.
Something about Emergency Awesome.
Yeah.
Video.
Yeah, it was talking on there about how some of the scary episodes were Christopher Eccleston ones, because they said he was quite grim in many respects, but they said perhaps that's because he'd just come back from the Time War.
Yeah.
So in many ways, he just got over. It was his first regeneration from all these horrible things that he had to do.
Yeah.
So
you can't help it.
Yeah.
So can you read some of the comments about Blink or Listen?
Okay, yeah, I can do indeed. The first one, they said, very close call for me, but Blink was just something so very special and one-off it would be hard to beat forever. I love the Easter egg films thing and the adorable and awkward geekiness of those trying to unlock the mystery. Yeah, which I think is really good. Although I love Listen, I'm going to have to go for Blink. Somebody else said, I'm all about crawling into the Doctor's mind and uncovering every tantalising tidbit. Blink is a great episode to hook the uninitiated, and I have the advantage of that particular episode to introduce several of my friends to New Who. Invariably, all who have gone back and watched every episode since 2005. Moreover, most are going back to check out the original episodes, as they, like me, find it impossible to go Who-free in the interminably long dry spells between seasons. But I choose Listen for a number of reasons, not the least of which was the superb craftsmanship of the storyteller, who only gets better with time. I am like Donna Noble. I don't want the Doctor, though I won't deny a delicious obsession with 11 at times. I want to be the Doctor, to climb inside his brain and discover what mechanism drove him to become the man who never would. Episodes like Listen reveal aspects of the Doctor's mind that make him more relatable. So, yeah, that's actually that's a really, really long comment. There's some quite good stuff said in there. To be fair, they're both great episodes, but to be unfair, this is still an obvious choice. Blink. They say Blink 9.5 out of 10, Listen 8.8.
Okay.
Obvious which is the best and which should win. You never know whether people have the capability to make the right decision. I swear if Listen wins, this site is wrong. Actually, I think the opposite. Somebody said underneath. Another mean poll with an obvious winner. I watched Blink last night, and to be honest, whilst I love it, it's never been my favourite of that era. Listen for me is subtler, richer, and sharper. It may have displaced The Girl in the Fireplace as my favourite episode of all time. The next person says Blink. The one after that says blah blah blah. Don't know what they're on about. Listen had a more profound effect on Doctor Who and the Doctor, but I'm voting Blink for being just a little bit finer tuned. So I think it's a very hard one, that one, because I think most people come the end of the series will say that Listen, it will be there or thereabouts the best episode in this series.
Or best episode ever in the new series, maybe. I think as people watch it more, they'll get it more and they'll like it more. And
But Blink is so different from every other
yeah,
Doctor Who story because, as I said earlier on, because of the fact he's hardly in it.
yeah,
The other one that, and it's funny, isn't it? Because they both sit side by side. But the Family of Blood story is another one which is so very different because of the fact that the Doctor's hardly in it.
So So have you got any more quiz or questions?
We're going to have to run it quite close because I think we're.
Wait, do we?
I don't actually have anything here unless you have any on
no, I don't.
on your poll.
But so just a verdict on Robot of Sherwood to end the podcast.
Yeah.
Most people say it is 8 out of 10, and that was 22.2%, and that was like last time most people said it was 8.10. Then it was 7.10, then it was 9 out of 10, then it was 10 out of 10, which was 4th. 5 out of 10 was 5th. 6 out of 10 was 6th. 4 out of 10 was 7th. 3 out of 10 was 8th. 1 out of 10 was 9th. And last was very poor, which was 2%.
So most people seem to like it. Where does that put it in the order so far?
So far, Deep Breath wins with 8.282. And Into the Dalek follows with 8.052. And Robot of Sherwood then follows with 7.512. Then also the Mark Gatiss face-off. In last place was Victory of the Daleks. Then it was Idiot's Lantern. Third to last was Night Terrors. Fourth was the Cold War. At third was the Unquiet Dead. At second was the Crimson Horror. And at first was Robot of Sherwood, which I agree with Robot of Sherwood at first place.
Yeah, no, see, I don't think Robot of Sherwood was better than the Cold War.
I do.
But yeah, there we go. It's interesting. It's all about opinions, isn't it?
Yeah. So is that the end of the show?
I think it is. What do we have next week?
Next week we have our verdict on Time Heist, which will probably be about a half an hour chat on Missy and if she's in it, and the teller and all that stuff.
That's right. We'll also have our usual roundup of Who News.
We'll be talking a bit about what we know on the Caretaker without spoilers.
And we'll have a quiz or question.
Yes, and also we'll be having our best something or other.
Our best something or other.
So remember to #CallThisMonsterDay. Also to comment below if you've got any quiz or questions.
Yeah. Or generally if you want to chat with us.
Yeah. So then bye-bye.
Bye-bye.